The reparations conversation has moved toward tangible compensation for the state of California. Journalist Curtis Lee of the New York Times drafted an excellent article entitled, "California Panel Sizes Up Reparations for Black Citizens." I've referenced his article as a primary source. A second article on this topic is by journalists Nicole Chavez and Justin Gamble of CNN. It's entitled, "San Francisco Reparations Committee Proposes a $5 million payment to each Black resident." The California Reparations Task Force is now considering how reparations should be distributed. It has identified 5 areas for compensation, including housing discrimination, mass incarceration, unjust property seizures, devaluation of Black businesses, and health care. Even broad-scale reparations would not eliminate the racial wealth gap, but they would narrow it significantly. Proponents hope California's effort will influence other states and federal legislators to follow suit. Before he retired in 2017, former Michigan Representative John Conyers Jr. introduced legislation to explore reparations for slavery. For almost 3 decades, he fought to get legislation passed, but was never successful as the measure consistently stalled in Congress. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas began championing the measure, which passed a House committee for the first time last year, but ultimately stalled on the floor. Opinions on reparations are sharply divided by race. An online survey conducted by the University of Massachusetts Amherst found that 86% of African Americans supported compensating the descendants of slaves, compared with 28% of white people. Similar polls have revealed similar wide splits. Some cities have already made strides in allocating reparations. Journalist Curtis Lee writes, in 2021, officials in Evanston, Illinois, a Chicago suburb, approved $10 million in reparations in the form of housing grants. 3 months later, officials in Asheville, North Carolina, committed $2.1 million to reparations. And over the summer, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors approved a plan to transfer ownership of Bruce's Beach, a parcel in Manhattan Beach, that was seized with scant compensation from a Black couple in 1924, to the couple's great-grandsons and great-great-grandsons. The task force interim report explains how a blight law from 1945 allowed officials to use eminent domain to destroy Black communities, including shutting down more than 800 businesses and displacing 4,700 households in San Francisco's Western Addition. Russell City was an unincorporated parcel of Alameda County near the San Francisco shoreline, where many Black families fleeing racial terror in the Deep South built lives during the Great Migration. The area was designated as a blight, and officials called for its destruction and for the area to be turned into an industrial park. In closing, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors is expected to accept, amend, or reject the 60-page proposal. To be eligible for reparations, San Francisco residents must be 18 years or older, be Black or African American, and meet 2 of 8 additional criteria, including being born or migrating to the city between 1940 and 1996. The one-time payment of $5 million would compensate Black San Franciscans for decades of harm.